Welcome back to episode 16 of AyyScare Plays Front Office Football, season 2. In case you missed last episode, we went 8-8, and it was kind of a mixed bag of a season, to be honest, but we are in kind of this lull right now where we keep just missing playoffs. So, I've kind of been looking things over in terms of what I think the best play here is. And I think the real answer here is that we have this really good quarterback. He's easily a top 10 quarterback in the league right now. And his offensive weapons just have not hit. I would need to double check the exact numbers here, but I think we've had many round 1, round 2 offensive weapon picks that just haven't materialized. So depending on how things are looking going into this off season, I think that it might be time to try to pull in somebody from free agency or try trading away some of our defensive depth in order to get some additional draft capital or something like that. I'm not really sure. I'm going to kind of see how this goes, but by going 8-8, we're probably going to have pick like 16 to 20 in the draft. So we're probably not going to have options of, top 2 wide receivers or anything like that. So it will become a little bit interesting. The one thing I will say that is probably a good thing, Artie Price here was our round 1 draft pick last episode. And even though he's only rated a 40 with a future of a 45, he actually played really well for his rookie season. He put up 862 yards on the ground, averaged 4.7 yards a carry, and then also got 235 through the air. So I have a feeling going into like preseason and stuff, we're going to see his numbers spike, but you never know. Maybe he just ended up having a fluke season. We do have a really good offensive line, so maybe there's more to it than just, his rating there. With that in mind, let's go ahead and hop into the season. Yeah, I think this is probably our 3rd or 4th season where our roster strength has set 100 over 100, and it just hasn't materialized. The other thing that it could be is it could be our coaching staff. Our defense has not been performing all that well. I mean, I think they're still top half, probably somewhere between 10 and 16th overall. But considering how good our defense is, it seems a little bit lower than you would expect. So we're going to take a look at defensive coordinator. Rose here has been our defensive coordinator basically the entire series, and he helped us get a lot of really good defensive runs, but you never know. So let's see what we got here. All right. Top guy is still our head coach, and let me just take one quick look. Okay, yeah, that was his first season with us, so we'll give him another year. 8-8 for first-year coach isn't bad. All right. Now at offensive coordinator. Our offensive coordinator is not near the top of the list now. He put up 2 decent seasons. I mean, 9-6-1 and then 8-8. That being said, I don't know really where to go with this. I mean, I feel like we basically have to probably upgrade this. Our offense wasn't bad. I think that our running was top 10 and our passing was top 5 last season. But there is a clear point differential here in terms of how suitable these guys are. So let's take a quick look at this guy up top. See, and especially since we have that young running back that is at least somewhat interesting, this is a little bit more of an interesting look for me. Let's see. He was assistant coach in Las Vegas last season, and they went 14-4. So one thing I will say is that when he was an offensive coordinator, they did relatively poorly, but you never know. Maybe that team just doesn't have the roster to support him. Let's just take one quick look because I always forget in between these episodes in terms of the offensive. I think it's offensive philosophy is the name of it. And this guy is air. So let's just take a quick look at what exactly that means, just to make sure we're doing the right thing here. Air. So we're looking at a lot of power runs and then a lot of long passes. Okay. Now that is interesting because our quarterback is technically listed as a long passes QB style, and his deep passes are really high. Technically, we've been kind of more focused on his slants and stuff over the past couple of seasons. So maybe this is going to be a good call. I don't really know. I don't feel like this is a great change, but I feel like it's a change that we should probably make. So let's go ahead and give it a go and see what happens. We now have defensive coordinator. Now, interestingly enough, our guy is no longer top rated on this list. I really feel like he's done really well for us. But maybe it is time to switch things up. This guy was a head coach. So you can see he was defensive coordinator. They then promoted him to head coach. Overall, he hasn't played well, but New York might just not be a good team right now. According to the game, this guy is a better fit for us. So let's go for it. We got to switch something up to try to push ourselves into playoffs here. All right, we still have top assistant and top strength. All right, so we switched up both our offensive and defensive coordinators. Defensive coordinator, that is the first switch we've done to that potentially this entire time. So we'll see if that plays any role for us. Let's take a quick look at money situation. Once again, this entire series, our money situation has been a little rough. Number of players here that we lost in free agency. So Myron Willis, how did he do last season? He put up decent numbers, but I don't think that this is worth franchising. Hunter Porter was basically a backup for us, so that's not worth franchising. Okay, so those were the real two that stood out. We had two of our kind of good defensive fronts go, but our defensive front is very stacked right now, so I don't view that as a terrible thing. All right, let's look here. Jalen has definitely been on a downturn here. We technically have him on contract the next 2 seasons, well, this season and next season. I don't know. I feel like our passing game is our receiving game is relatively weak, so I don't feel like cutting Jalen is going to be the best call. We know that our offensive line is pretty stacked. We don't really want to touch that all that much. Vince Collins is definitely getting up there in age, and the past 2 seasons have been a little bit down for him. So maybe it is time to go ahead and cut him. How much will that save us? Let's ask that. Vince Collins, that will save us $20 million, so I think that is probably going to be a needed cut for us. But he did very well for us while he was on the team. Rich Middleton did not do all that much last season. Did he? No, he played in all 16 games, but he didn't do all that much. Let's take a quick look at that, because that might be something that's worth cutting here. So Rich Middleton is there. We have this guy down here, but then it kind of falls off a cliff, so let's not mess with our defensive front too much, especially since we already lost 2 to free agency. Sebastian Slaughter, how did he do last season? He got back on track last season. That's good to see. Donnie Pasco, he is getting older. He did not do much last season and was down a season before that. Maybe it is time to cut him. What is our... I feel like it's not paying him too much. Let's look at the blue book real quick and just try to see kind of what we got going here. So, inside linebacker, top 20 in terms of salary is making $14 million. Okay, so he's like exactly on the line of top 20. The past 2 seasons, I don't think he's really lived up to that. But the other thing is that he is like defensive captain for us and things like that, which makes this a little bit more complicated. So this guy's really pissed off. Although he might get more playing time, so we'll sit on that for a little bit. What was that guy's name? Skip, and he's an outside linebacker. So he actually could potentially slot in for Donnie Pasco. I think Donnie Pasco's time may be coming to an end for us, which sucks because we've built our team kind of around him defensively for 10 seasons now. But that being said, I don't see us paying him what we're paying him with those numbers the past 2 seasons. So Donnie Pasco is off the team as well. Let's see, Alexis Brady has actually played exceptionally well. This actually is one of the best picks I think that we've had. I mean, the pass defender rate's nuts. The number of interceptions is nuts. Absolutely love that player. Asher Donaldson, not great, but since we dropped Vince, I don't see us being able to cut him. Okay, that opened up quite a bit of money for us, and we're going into this with almost a full roster to begin with. So this should give us some money that we're going to need to try to pull in some key assets. So let's hope that our team comes together here. Before we do this, let's do our own team contracts. So, this left tackle, getting older, but has been very good for us. This actually, let me see here, 35. Okay, so this basically is the same cost to us this year, and then extends them into retirement. So that sounds good to me. We then have our left guard. I'm not going to re-sign them, even though they're still very highly rated. I think putting a longer contract on them doesn't really make sense. Although, man, they would be willing to save us some money this season. Let me think on that one. How'd this punter do? The punter did not do all that well. So we'll sit on that one. Sebastian Slaughter, they are doing better for us. Let's see what he wants. $14 million for safety. That's actually a really good deal for us. We will be sure to keep him on. We got a number of 1-year contracts in this region, so let's take a look. That isn't bad for the type of tight end he is. This outside linebacker, not great, but they're not asking for much anyway. So yep, we'll go ahead and extend them. I feel like we need to re-sign this right tackle because I've mentioned this, I think, in our last episode, but our line is getting so old now that that's going to be a problem for us in an upcoming season. It's not a terrible deal. I don't know how long this guy will last because normally when, this guy's almost 30 and then He might be startable for the next 4 seasons. I don't know. We'll go ahead and give it a shot. With how weak our line might get, it might be worthwhile. And then Alexis Brady, we definitely need to re-sign. I don't care what he's asking for. He actually wasn't asking for that much anyway, so it's good for us. Another outside linebacker. Let's go ahead and make sure that we keep things good on that front. Sebastian Burrows. Another linebacker that we should keep on. Okay, and then we'll sign this guard who's getting a lot of backup time, but looking okay. All right, so after all those re-signs, we're now sitting at 72 million. Or 74 million, my fault. We're going to have a number. We're going to have to re-sign both Luther Hall and Ike Borders here next episode. Maybe we should. No, I don't want to take that hit now. I don't want to take that hit. I want to see at least what is available here. Also, let's see what draft pick we are. 17. Okay, so I think I said between 16 and 20. So exactly where I was expecting. And of course, there is a top-rated wide receiver, which I would love to have. We're not going to get him. I'm not willing to trade up for that. Chances are both of these guys will be gone as well by our pick. So we should look at free agency to see if there's anybody worthwhile grabbing here. Four wide receivers. None of them are all that highly rated. So let's see what we got going here. Let's actually look at something. So I know offensive weapons is something that we need to kind of target. After re-signing, we're basically free to pick whatever we want. Game says we need cornerback, defensive tackle, cornerback. Yeah, our cornerback game is relatively weak after like Borders up here. So that makes perfect sense. All right. So in terms of here, I think that really the only thing that I should be focusing on is trying to pull in either a offensive weapon, which we've already kind of determined there wasn't a great one on there, or is there any worthwhile tight end? There's no tight end on the top of this list. Okay. Maybe this would be a good time to try to pull in another tackle, especially the fact that we might be losing. Is it the tackle that's in year 12? It's our left guard that's in year 12. We technically have two guards down here, though, that are supposed to get to good, and they're both young. So, yeah, maybe if we can find a backup tackle. You never know when this guy will retire. So, pulling in somebody like this could be interesting. He's not asking for much either. So, let's go ahead and put in some offers on some players. We have some money this season. So, let's do it. 30 million 3-year deal. That is not bad. In terms of the next group here, what is our second running back? I know we have the one guy, so Juan Lewis went back to free agency, Artie Price, and then Clarence Johnston. This guy actually did relatively well for us last year too. So, okay, I think we have our running back 1 and running back 2. So I don't think we need to spend all that much money on another running back. What about this guard? Wow, that is a really good run blocking guard. Horrible at pass blocking, though. Huh. I'm not really sure what to think of that. I guess that's good. I don't know. I'm not touching that. That seems like a potential way for me to blow like 30 million in the next 2 years on that. So we got ourselves a couple Pulling in another experienced defensive tackle might be worthwhile. This guy actually doesn't seem all that bad. He's put up a number of sacks, decent tackles. He's also really good at special teams, which could always be helpful. What's he asking for? He's not asking for much either, so let's put in an offer on this guy too to try to boost up that situation. All right. Start out with those two. See where we're then sitting. So, right tackle signed with us. Awesome. Defensive tackle also signed with us. All right, so that brings us in two new kind of starting players that are experienced. That sounds like a pretty good win in my book. Let's look at this first wide receiver. Okay. He's played 3 years in, I think that's Los Angeles, and basically did next to nothing. Although he did put up a decent rookie season, which is very interesting. He then went to Baltimore last season, put up a decent season, but Baltimore decided not to keep him, which is a little suspect, especially because he's not asking for all that much. How old is this guy? 27. All right. I'll at least put in an offer. I feel like we're going to end up with basically like 4 wide receivers that are all like hovering around 90, or not 90, sorry, I was typing, around 50. I think the one guy is supposed to become a 60. I think that's what our youngest guy is currently slated for. Only one person expressed disappointment. Everybody else expressed excitement. Let me go ahead and put in that offer and then go look at who that was. Wordman? Oh, he's off the team anyway. Okay, we're good. We're good. Okay, in that case, let's actually put in a slightly bigger offer just to try to make sure we get him. We'll up his bonus. Okay. Sweet, we got him. Okay. All right, we brought in 3 new pieces to our team after cutting, I think, 3 of our old kind of pieces. So this seems like a pretty good spot for us to be in. Might be worthwhile for us to pull in another corner since our corner game is a little bit weak. Oh, I really like that guy's numbers. That guy's numbers are really nice. Yeah, I definitely like the first guy more. What is he asking for, though? He's asking for a 1-year contract? Is he old? Oh, yeah, he's 34. Okay, so this will be like his final year in the league. I am going to put in an offer because I don't know if we're going to get anybody better than him. So that kind of solidifies at least our starting secondary. Sweet, we got him. Okay. All right, we've pulled in a number of pieces here that I think are really going to benefit us. That in mind, we now need to start looking towards the draft. So I picked 16, or 17, actually 17. We're once again looking at a very interesting draft board that don't know how well it plays into what we really need. Now, one thing we could do here is we could try to go for top tight end. This top tight end is probably still going to be there. Those bars look really nice, at least as far as I'm concerned. He's also only 21. I'm at least going to interview him. He's also considered very underrated. Not a huge fan of how some of those bars trended downwards, but the bars that are high are very high. So we will mark him as an opportunity. We should probably look at the top. I don't see us getting either of the top 2 wide receivers, but maybe 3, 4, 5. Considered overrated. 4. We have Braxton Rabe, I guess is how you say that. Has scouted, but not exactly feeling that. He's also 25, which is a little bit worrisome. Then here we have Melvin. This guy. Okay. All right, Melvin Dabney. Those bars look crazy to me. Let's mark him. And on the board, he's technically listed as wide receiver 5. He could fall to us. We should probably have one more backup, though. So wide receiver, we have the wide receiver, we have the tight end, and then is this where we maybe try to nab the future offensive lineman just in case if both of those guys go? We're pretty well off. We don't have a future like 60 plus for the front line, but I feel like our front line is okay. Maybe this is where we should pull. I don't see us spending it on anything on our defense. I mean, I'm really happy with those two guys that we found, which makes me really wary to. I realize that this might be a little bit of a reach for our first round pick, but those are kind of the two positions I think we are most needing right now. This game say we need now. Inside linebacker, defensive tackle, outside linebacker. I know we lost a couple of linebackers in free agency. I feel like that is not an area that we drastically need, though. All right, we need to pick something else to interview just that we have something else in case these two go off the board. I think maybe pulling in an outside linebacker might make the most sense. So we could interview someone like this. Levy Foster, those bars look great. Their second outside linebacker on the board. Let's look at the next guy. He also looks decent. This guy also looks decent. I don't know. I feel like it right now. I am looking at this and I'm going, all right, what? This is, once again, not the best top of a draft board that we could have asked for our team. There's actually not a single QB in the first, 40 players here. The first QBs are way down here. They actually might not even be in the top 50, 75, actually. And yeah, neither of them look all that great, so it's definitely not a quarterback draft. All right, I think safely, and again, this might be us reaching a little bit, but if both of those guys go, we could pull in top center. Our center is in year 8, although we just re-signed him to a 4-year deal, so maybe that doesn't make sense. Oh man, we've gotten so unlucky the past couple of seasons with these first round draft picks that I am really worried about picking the wrong guy. This is 6th tackle on the board. They would almost certainly be there at 17, and their bars look good. Okay, if the 2 weapons are gone, that's our third option. Hopefully none of them. Hopefully we have an option of all 3. After that, we need to look at some later round picks. So once again, I think going for offensive targets makes the most sense. This tight end looks very interesting, and they're underrated. So that's a good marking. Okay, let's say there was a pretty far drop in the rankings after Jake here. So we have 2 tight ends marked. Wide receiver world. Let's take a look at some of these guys. Casey Gaylor here. Interesting, but I don't think that makes the most sense for us. Nope. This guy's really good at getting downfield, which if we're doing long passes maybe makes sense. Although they're not high on big play receiving. I don't know if that means like big play as in going for 30 yards or big play as in like catching 4th down passes or like, things like that. I'm not exactly sure what big play translates to here. I don't know. They could be a decent 2nd round pick though, maybe. Okay, they're very overrated. It's interesting though, their bars that were high remained high, but if they're very overrated, I probably will not go them. This guy's almost the pure opposite of that guy. This guy also really good at getting downfield. And a good adjust the ball seems like it would be very important for big 30-yard plays, but big play receiving is down. Ricky Myers. I don't know. We'll interview him. Okay, considered overrated as well. All right. All right. I don't think I'm going to use any more interviews going further down this list here. We have 4 interviews left. This guy actually is semi-interesting because he has the getting downfield, avoiding drops, 3rd down catching, big plays at least at 50, courage and adjust the ball are both over 50. He's a small guy. Now let's use it. Very overrated. Okay. Well, that's great. Now, last episode, in case you missed it, we had a punter interviewed, and he looked, or I don't know if we interviewed him or he just looked really good. There was a punter that we were looking at going in like round 5. He ended up going a couple picks before us, and then he was like top punter in the league by a ridiculous margin. So it might be worth looking at these punters, as crazy as that sounds, as I know most people would probably never draft a punter. I will say that the top punter on the board looks significantly better than everybody else, but those all dropped down towards 50. Okay, so we probably won't use a draft pick there. Let's do the same thing with kicker. In case you didn't watch the first season, and when I say first season, I mean the first like episodes 101 through 120. We drafted a kicker. I think it might have been in the first ever episode. And they ended up being like one of the best kickers in league history. So I'm not afraid to draft a kicker. But that being said, none of these guys look all that great. So then, getting a cornerback 3 might be a worthwhile investment. We need to look at this though compared to this. Because I know there are a number of cornerbacks towards the top here. Although with how many there are up here, there's a decent shot that we might be able to get one of these guys in the 2nd round. So that guy is very interesting as a 2nd round option to me. That guy's bars look very interesting. Potentially. That might be worth a 2nd round pick. Alright, so that goes through our interviews. I think we have a couple of good options. So we'll kind of see how this pans out. Right, here we go. We're going to keep this on fast here as we go through the picks before us, just because this could get crazy. All right, New York goes top wide receiver. Austin goes cornerback. Atlanta goes QB. Oh, that is a reach for one of those QBs. Neither of those QBs looked great. So that is a reach, but I guess Atlanta really needed a quarterback. All right, we had another corner and a tackle. Baltimore goes outside linebacker. Kansas City goes corner. So a number of corners going in the first round this episode. What? That top tight end went at 8. Okay. All right. Sure. All right. There's wide receiver 2. What we're really hoping for is that the wide receiver 5 remains on the board. There he is. Melvin Dabney is the guy that we are really hoping falls to us. Pick traded to Miami at 13th pick. Miami goes a corner. New England goes another wide receiver. Let me pause this. There's technically another wide receiver before us on the board. That being said, if another team drafts similar or interviewed similar to what I did, they know that this guy's a steal. Or at least he looks like a better option than Braxton. What's Carolina need? See, Carolina could definitely go him. Carolina has a good tight end. Actually, has 2 good tight ends. Running backs, and then their top wide receivers are a little bit weaker. And then the other team here is San Fran. San Fran could also be in the very same boat. I think we need to do a trade here. If we want to lock in that wide receiver, we have to trade this pick, I think. So Carolina is the team that we would have to trade with. There's no guarantee that they're going to want to trade, which makes this entire thing harder. But I do not want to risk losing this pick. So, real quick, that wide receiver was considered underrated, right? Considered as scouted. Okay. Still fine with that. I want him. Let's go back to this. Carolina. All right. And then I'll also give him my 3rd round pick. I'm only trading up 2 slots. Maybe he'll accept my 4th rounder. Nope. All right. So that was my first thought on the deal. I feel like this is a pick for a key person, so we're doing it. All right, we're up. We are going Melvin Dabney. All right. We'll see how this pans out. All right, so after that, where's that one tight end sitting? We could go this tight end. He was at least somewhat interesting, and I think another potential good add for us. None of the wide receivers remaining are ones of interest. So, welcome to this again. We are going 2 offensive weapons early, and we're hoping that one or both pan out for us. All right, we're now in the 4th round since we traded away our 3rd round pick. At this point, I really think that we should probably just nab players near the top of the board, especially since we did not interview any of these guys. One thing is that we really don't have a backup quarterback right now. At least I don't think we do. I didn't realize we were looking at another team. I was like, oh my gosh, a rookie at 79. And I was like, a guard? Wait a second. All right. Look at that. Melvin Dabney. Potentially best player on our team. That tight end is also rated as a 72. That could have been, well, again, these numbers will change drastically. But just looking at it right now, this looks like a draft that could really, really set us on the right path forward. So let's not mess this draft up. I was looking for a backup quarterback. We do not have a backup quarterback in short. So I mean, I don't really like this quarterback, so let's not go him. Let's look at these other guys, though. That looks terrible. That doesn't look good. Maybe? Although he's considered 35% developed, which is a little bit worrisome. If they're going this late in the draft, they're considered 35% developed. I don't trust these bars because, at least in my opinion, you would expect for this person to be higher rated and probably gone already if those were realistic bars. I'm going to mark him if he's still sitting there next round, but this Jeffrey Beers guy actually looks pretty good. Don't feel like we really need a running back, but that is interesting. So, right now, defensive end-wise, I think we have 3 on our roster, and none of them are great, but all 3 are decent. Yeah, so we have 3 on our roster right now. Considered 63 good, 65 good, 52 good. That guy has really good endurance. This guy has decent endurance. And this guy does not. Okay, so I mean, pulling in another defensive end doesn't sound like a terrible idea. So let's go ahead and nab this guy. He looks very promising. Clay Fleming here. Jeffrey Beers is sitting there. And at this point, I don't feel like we can skip on him because his bars actually do look decent. I don't feel like we really need a running back, but let's try to get this offensive juggernaut going that we're trying for here. All right. Still backup quarterback is something that I think would be an interesting pickup if we can find someone. His bars were all over the place, but for a backup, maybe he's worth it. Sure, let's try the top guy. Rufus Harden here. His bars look really weird. I don't know that I fully trust this, but like long passes, deep passes, so his QB style matches our main guy. It really high scramble frequency. But you know what? If he sits on the bench for a year or two, maybe we'll see these bars get into a better state from learning from our guy. So sure, let's go ahead and try him. And then, just take one quick look here. Game still says that we need inside linebacker. All right. So inside linebacker still on this board. That actually does not look bad for a 7th round pick. Corner doesn't look half bad for a 7th round pick either. I think that 7th round pick in that corner actually might be best option because I know that our cornerback game, this guy doesn't seem bad either. There's actually a number of options here. Because I think our corners, we have the older guy who's probably going to be our corner 2. And then Ike is really our only other corner that is worth anything. So I don't know which one of these is the best option. Let's see, strength-wise, it goes this guy. This guy's also a little bit more developed. His dash time is really bad, though. This guy's strength is worrisome. Okay, we're just going to get top corner on the board. All right. Let's take a look at how those rookies are rated. All right, so the 2 near the top are what we kind of expected, or we already knew about. Defensive end, we're not expecting him to start for us anyway, so that is a decent option there. Also, a number of these other guys we kind of tanked on. Backup quarterback actually looks decent for backup. That running back, he's going to be our RB3, so hopefully his bars help us out in that regard. And that corner doesn't look like it's going to pan out. Well, you never know. All right. So we still need we basically just need a punter in terms of getting a full roster. And then we'll see what else possibly slipped through, although we do not have a lot of money. So, ooh, look at this punter that slipped through. Looking at a 90. Now, I think that we saw something like this last episode too, and they didn't even come close to being that good. But, you know what? I'll give them a shot. I'm actually going to get both of these guys. Have them do a little punting duel in preseason training camp. See which one's actually worth keeping on. This kicker also looks very decent. So we will put in an offer on him. And then here we have an outside linebacker that looks like they slipped through the draft. So we'll put in an offer on them. And that basically gives us no money left to do anything. So, see who signs. Pending. All right. One punter signed, the kicker signed, and the outside linebacker signed. You know what? Let's have them do a punter duel. I'm not going to remove my offer on the other punter. All right, we got both punters. So we will have a punting duel and see who pans out better for us. We are rolling. All right, training camp. Let's do this thing. Exhibition weeks. All right, going into week 1. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see if we lost anybody in preseason. All right, let's see. So a number of these numbers have changed a little bit. Our rookie wide receiver is still looking very good at a 70. That rookie tight end is also looking pretty good. One of the punters actually remained in the good range. All right. All right, so what happened to Sebastian Slaughter? Torn bicep muscle. That's not good. And then, okay, then we'll have to kind of play it out here to see what comes of this. One left guard, our backup left guard, has been upgraded to a 67 future, which is awesome. Okay. Doesn't look like we're outside of Sebastian Slaughter. I don't view any of these as horrible losses. Losing this tight end is a little bit rough, but it will give our rookie some start time. So I think I'm okay with that. Week 1. Oh, we put up 24 and lost. So, all right. Put up against Philly. Put up 29 on us. Albuquerque. Put up 34 on us. Defense is, because, let's put it this way. This game, you typically don't see 30-point games all that often. So our defense is definitely struggling right now. What the hell happened to wide receiver that was supposed to become really good for us? I got injured, sprained knee. Okay. Not our rookie. Let's be clear, not our rookie. But, all right, let's take a look at this. What is happening right now? We're 0-3. I don't feel like anything that I'm seeing right now tells me why we're 0-3. Quarterback hasn't been playing great. Our running game is interesting right now. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so our one running back has fumbled 4 times already, which is horrible. This guy's fumbled 4 times on 10 carries. Okay, he also caught 7. No, that's horrible. I'm almost just willing to drop this guy right now. I mean, that seems like a huge liability. You look, our defense is just getting absolutely shredded right now. All right. We need to cut Johnston. That is too much of a liability as far as I'm concerned. Before we cut him, we might as well see if anybody will take him from us. So Clarence Johnston, let's see what we can do with this guy. All right, Buffalo wants him. Sure, Buffalo. Here, take this fumble. Let's see. He was a 5th round pick. His bars are decent. I'm going to try to get a 3rd round pick for him. Okay. Sounds good to me. That was easier than I was expected. All right. We're back. Going up against Indianapolis here. Let's try to get some W's on the board, team. All right. Put up a W, finally. On our bye week. Going up against Tennessee. Both 1-3. There we go. And look, we held them to 7. So looks like our offense actually has been doing decently this entire time. I think we've put up, outside of that game, we've put up at least 20 points every week. So our offense is doing fine. Hopefully our defense keeps playing at this level, though. All right, here we go against Houston, who's 0-6. Perfect. This is the final week before trade deadline, so we should probably just do a once-over of what's going on here. All right, I don't see anything sitting here, obviously, that I'm like, we need to do X, Y, Z. Look at our team summary here. All right, quarterback has picked up the game a little bit here. That's a good thing. Looks like our running game is still doing okay. Our offensive weapons are interesting. It's very interesting to me that so like this is the wide receiver we drafted. He's looking like he's doing really well so far. We do not have what's his name playing though. The other young wide receiver that we used a 1st round pick on. Where's that guy at? Here he is. He's now healthy. He should be back in our starting lineup. I don't fully get what's going on with this guy. I realize he got injured. Don't get me wrong. Maybe he'll slot back into our starting lineup this game. I don't know. I feel like something's going wrong with that guy. All right, let's keep it rolling. Just looking at some of these defensive numbers here. Again, 12 turnovers on defense. Cool. All right. Overall, that's looking good, at least as far as I'm concerned. So let's keep it rolling here. Going up against California. They took the W on us. Jacksonville, they are looking like a good team this year at 6-1. We took the W on them, though. Going up against Kansas City. We put up the W there. Going up against Las Vegas, so another good team. We put up the W there. Our offense is really clicking. Yeah, look at that. Holmberg is starting to really go off, really starting to get this offense rolling. Offensive wide receiver 1 here, doing great. Once, I don't know how to say this name, but Famatu came back. He is doing actually really well these past couple of games. Yeah, look at that. In the past couple of games, he's really gone off for us. So it's good to have him back. And hopefully now that he is kind of our wide receiver 2, I think that's a good spot for him. I don't think that he was good enough to be our clear wide receiver 1. So I think that's good. Is this our young tight end? It is. So he's also doing well for us in the receiving game. And then, do we still have... I know that we went into the season with him. I know that he was on there earlier. But we might have dropped Jalen in order for money reasons. Oh no, he's still on our team. But again, he's getting older. He is definitely not our wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 anymore. He's actually basically been phased out of our offense. But we'll see if we face an injury or something. Happy that we still have him there. And then let's take one look here. So this is a running back that I think our coaching staff brought in. Our coaching staff brought in this guy, and then Artie Price is still doing very decently. I actually really like this guy. The bars are interesting. I think that his stats kind of speak for themselves. I think that he's a very valid starter. So I don't think he's a workhorse back, like a single back, but in a committee, he seems like a very good option. All right, let's keep things rolling. Going up against New York, 6-4 teams going at it head to head. They took the W on us. Here we're going up against Buffalo. Oh my gosh. Some of these teams are putting up some ridiculous scores on us. Now we're going up against Washington here. They also beat us. All right, we're sitting at 6-7. It looks like we lost our quarterback. Yes, we did lose him. That happened in week 13. Got it. So that could explain the past week or two, because he has been injured, not playing. We're playing with our backup. That sucks. Oh, that really hurts. Okay. We really do not have a backup. This is the guy that we just pulled in randomly, basically in round 6 of the draft. And we might get him back, but he's not going to be full strength. All right, going into the final 3 weeks here, I'm not too hopeful, but see how it goes. Hopefully our defense steps up and we keep these low-scoring games. Going up against Las Vegas here, they're 8-5. We put up 34, and that's because Devin Holmberg started injured. Okay. All right, come on, Devin Holmberg. Let's get us into playoffs here. Going up against Dallas, so once again, no slouch of a team here. We tied. Okay. Now we're up against Kansas City, who are touchdown favorites on us. We took the L. I can't imagine we made playoffs. I'm assuming we didn't. Honestly, I didn't look at how our division kind of shaped out there, but here's what I will say. I think this draft hit for us, which is huge, because we had struggled. Yep, we didn't make playoffs. All right, so we'll kind of sim this playoffs out and see who takes the bowl this year. Jacksonville against Minnesota here. Jacksonville takes the W. And I remember correctly, I think we beat Jacksonville, didn't we? I don't remember exactly where we played them. I'm pretty sure we beat them, though. We'll look in the other view. It'll be easier to see. Here, Jacksonville. Yeah, we beat Jacksonville bad. So you never know, though. There are some fluke games, as always. Here's good news, right? 2 young wide receivers, clear starters. Our running game is moving. Our quarterback is absolutely killing it. Our defense was kind of a mixed bag this episode, but they seemed to get better as the season went on. We also have the young tight end. I think that we are in a very, very good spot for a couple final episodes to round out this season. When I say season, I mean, AyyScare Plays Front Office Football 8 Season 2. Yeah, so let's take a quick look just at some of the players. Devin Holmberg, honestly, might get into Pro Bowl with these numbers in this game. I think Dabney stands a decent shot at Rookie of the Year, depending on how well the other rookies did. 1,050 yards and 8 touchdowns is pretty darn good. And then looking at our defense, a couple of these guys went off a lot. Like Morton here went for 12.5 sacks. Middleton went for 10.5 sacks. So I think those 2 are probably the most likely to potentially show up on the list. All right. And then based on our running game and how good our quarterback did, we might see a offensive lineman or 2. Let's take a look. Season awards. Let me just see here. Offensive Rookie of the Year went to this running back. Went for 900 rushing yards. He averaged 5.13 though, 6 touchdowns, and then another 300 through the air and 2 touchdowns. All right. I personally think our rookie did better, but fair enough. If we look through the list here, not a single one of our players made the Pro Bowl, which is actually kind of crazy because I feel like our defensive ends both put up really good numbers. Although this guy put up 12 sacks, 50 tackles. Yeah, so looks like our guys were probably like between 5 and 10 on the list for defensive ends. All right. Final thing that I want to look at here. So we are sitting at 781. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I think we're going to be pick 11 next episode. And then we'll have 2 third-round picks. So hopefully that'll be enough to bolster something again. But looking at this, honestly, I think we are going to be in a good position for a couple of playoff runs with, obviously not this quarterback, but where's he at? So there he is, Devin Holmberg at the head of our team. We have a number of good weapons for him now. Again, and I've mentioned this the past couple of episodes, I am a little bit worried about our offensive line, but maybe we can use our top pick next episode on that. And then, as always, our defense has kind of held together. Looks like our secondary is definitely struggling some. That might be another area that is worth a 11th overall pick. But we'll keep an eye on who retires and things like that. I think we have a number of players for our offensive line that are currently on our bench, but none of them are fantastic. But we do have a number of options. So, other thing here, how'd this kicker do? Ooh, okay. In terms of field goals, he was pretty horrible, but he at least put up the point after attempts well. And then this punter, those are actually some pretty decent punt numbers. So that actually looks like it probably was a decent pickup. All right, I will stop blathering on here. You made it to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for sticking around. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next episode. AyyScare out.